Hi, I'm Nick Paulson. You're watching News 24 Live. On Thursday this week, Scotland are hosting a referendum to vote on whether or not to remain part of the United Kingdom. Now, I'm joined in studio by Scottish national Stuart Forsyth, who's been living in South Africa for 7 years, and he's going to tell us the pros and cons of this vote. Stuart, thanks for joining me. Big day on Thursday. Which camp are you on?
I'm a no, Nick.
Okay, could you explain the pros and cons of the no vote?
For me, I haven't lived in Scotland for a number of years. However, I do understand the mentality of why the Scots want to go alone. For me, it just doesn't make sense. You know, everywhere you look at it, it just doesn't make sense.
Okay, from a financial point of view, is it a pride thing?
I'm sure there's a lot of economic drivers in both camps that will argue one way or the other. In terms of looking at this from a global perspective, it's a small world now. You know, it's a global village. And if you look at every part of the world where there's conflict, whether it's racial or ethnic or religious, it's usually between neighbours. And for me, for the Brits to think that it won't happen there is folly. Why not? I am very much an internationalist, a globalist. I understand the Scots mentality that would want to do it. But from a far-reaching point of view, I personally think it would be a disaster for all. The United Kingdom, you know, for those looking from the outside, is this little island that floats in the North Sea, which has got, you know, historically, an amazing amount of historical and industrial power that belies its size. But for anybody that knows the United Kingdom, whether you are an immigrant or whether you're a national, it's a very, very complex little place. Mm-hmm. You know, in the size of ground that you have got so many ethnic and racial and historically differences. You know, a few years ago, for example, I was doing some work on introducing some people to the UK mentality, and I put together a series of questions. You know, for simple things like, what's the difference between Great Britain and the United Kingdom? Is Scotland the same as England? Is the Queen of England or the Queen of the United Kingdom? And as I was drafting it, it occurred to me that many Brits wouldn't be able to answer these questions. So it is a complex issue, it's a complex place, but the fundamental answer to your question for me is no. I believe that the union of the United Kingdom should stay.
Okay, obviously there is a bit of animosity, always has been, between the Scots and the English. Just tell us a little bit about the history between the Scots and the English, and if this is perhaps, you know, still the kind of chip on the shoulder stuff.
It's kind of the Braveheart thing. I hear what you say, you know, and if I could start that by a question to answer that from a South African perspective. When I came here to live, usually what I do if I'm in a place is listen to talk radio. It usually gives me an idea of the pulse of what's going on in a nation. And at the time, you hadn't long come out of apartheid. It was the brave new world for South Africa. And there was let's say, an older white gentleman who was saying during a discussion on race that, you know, well, look, we're 10 years into the new South Africa. We need to get over the past and move on. And I had a chuckle to myself, because the Braveheart thing and all that pride has come up from a battle 700 years ago. And I thought to myself, you're only 10 years down the line, you've got no chance. We're still going on about something that happened 700 years ago. There is a lot of that, although that's a humorous story, that still bites. But for me, I don't think the Scots need any more statement of their identity. The world knows them as a tribe, or as a country, as a nation. For me, we don't need the affirmation of it being a divided country in this small island. Like I say, the economic arguments, I'm sure, from both sides will be put very eloquently. But if I was voting in Scotland now, I'd be putting a cross at the division.